I think one of my first couple of trades, I lost like 6 grand. I think it was like 6 or 7 grand in like a couple of minutes. Welcome back to Be the Trader. I want to share with you the reality of my journey and how hard it's been to actually find consistency in my trading. I think it's only makes sense for me to go back to the beginning, and that's how I discovered trading. At the time, I had a really good career. I worked my way up as a partner in a small firm, and all I was focused on was how can I make more money, right? That's all I was focused on. So I found real estate, created a little real estate meetup group, did really well with that, and flipped a house. When I say flipped a house, I wholesaled it, just flipped the note, made some money, and realized it wasn't for me. And that's when I discovered trading, because I saw all these ads of easy money, quick, fast, anyone can do it, learn this one pattern, the typical ads. So I went for it, and I ended up deciding to leave my job. Now, the main reason why I left the job to begin with is because I started to become unhappy. Like, I was trying to make the company grow, I was trying to pitch new ideas, but I kept getting denied from the CEO. And then I started to get even more unhappy because I wasn't going to grow anymore. And then I realized like growth is really important to me, but I was so focused on how can I increase my income, and that's why I wanted to grow. And so I went after trading. And when I did that, I was only focused on one thing, and that's how can I make more? And so at first I was trading a little bit while I was working, and that was not working at all. I was just taking so many losses, and I didn't have any risk management. I didn't care about really losing money because I thought, once I get this, it's gonna be easy. In fact, I think one of my first couple of trades, I lost like 6 grand. I think it was like 6 or 7 grand in like a couple of minutes. And that's a lot for anyone. But at the time, I was just like, oh yeah, I was upset, but I was like, okay, just go back to work. I'll just make some more. And I had the wrong mentality going in. And so I thought, you know what? When I was trying to trade and work, it wasn't working. So I said, you know what if I just dove all the way in and only traded? Of course I can make it. Like, I work really hard. That's how I worked my way up to the top and became one of the youngest partners in the firm. That's how I did everything. Like, I worked my butt off. So I said, if I did it in trading, then I can be successful. At least that's what I thought. And then I left. And it was a huge rush. I was so excited. Like, I was leaving to pursue what I wanted to do. It's my dream. I thought this is going to be a great story. Like, this is going to be cool. And it was not. That year was really hard. I went from making money to not making any. And in fact, I lost a lot of it. I saved up a year's worth of income to live off of comfortably. But making no money and losing money, in fact, was really hard on my ego, and it really shook how I viewed myself. Because at the time, I was all about, as I mentioned, I was like trying to make more money. I was focused on the wrong things. I had a Mercedes. I wanted like a better car and so forth. But when I left, I had to get rid of that car and get a PT Cruiser. And that was very humbling. And then I had to downsize a lot of the things that I did. I couldn't travel as much. I couldn't spend as much. I was always thinking about money and being careful with it. And then it used to be that way for me. Don't get me wrong. Like, I don't come from a big family where I saw my dad work really hard from a low income to bring us to medium. I think like low medium to low high to medium low and medium. And maybe even, I would say mediums, because there's different lows of income, right? And different medium of income. Hopefully that makes sense. But I saw him do that by working his butt off. And so I had this instilled in me that like, I need to work my butt off so I can take us and the family higher. And this was instilled in me just on my own, just by seeing things happen, by working hard and taking us to other places from like, small houses to smaller, to a little bit bigger and so forth, better neighborhoods and so forth. And so I just thought the same thing. And so whenever I had to get rid of the Mercedes and wasn't making any money, there were times where I was questioning everything I decided. I was like, why did I leave a great job that made great income to pursue something that I'm not even good at? And I would question all of my decisions. Like, you're an idiot. Like, why'd you do this? This makes no sense. You could have been doing well off and so forth. But I always had deep down, like, this is what I want to do. And I'm doing this because I want to be happy with what I'm doing. And that's one of the main reasons why I left. Like, when I left, it's because I wasn't happy. It wasn't just, I was making good money, but I left because I wasn't happy. And so when I left, I was happy. I was pursuing something that I love. But somewhere along the way, I started to judge myself again about the money. But not making enough. I was judging myself, my value on what I made. And let me tell you that now I pray so much to help me get away from that mindset. It's why I focus on process, not profits. Because it's so easy to be focused on egotistic things. And I was like that for the longest time. And I may still be like that in some sense. But I really try to focus away from that. Because that first year was tough. Like, I was only judging myself at that time about the value of me from what I made. And so I went through some dark moments where there was days where I would just cry by myself and pray and be like, man, why did I do this? I would yell, like, whoever you believe in, but I believe in God. And I would be upset and be like, why is this happening? Like, I should be able to get this. And I was not getting it. The only good thing I did that year was record all my trades. I was writing everything down, and that's it. But everything was, to me at the time, what's the point? Like, I was losing. Then it came to a point where I was like, you know what? Money's getting low. I need to go back to work. Luckily, a partner firm, like I say a partner firm, what I mean is another company, competitor is the right word, much bigger competitor, about 5 times the size, wanted to hire me. So I went on board as a VP, and luckily I was able to make the same income and was able to save another year's worth. And then I left. Now, this second time I left, I thought to myself, I gotta get it this time because, I'm leaving again. So this has gotta work. But it doesn't have to. And in fact, it didn't. That second time, I just pretty much broke even. I lost money, but I didn't lose much. So I say break even because at the end of the day, I went from losing a lot to losing a little bit. I had break even months, I had green months, I had red months, but at the end of the day, like, I still documented everything. And there was less times where I was saying I wanted to leave and go back to work. There was more times where I was scared I had to go back. There were more times where I was scared that this is going to take a lot longer than I thought. And during that time, I was still focused on trying to make profits. Like, I was trying to focus on like setups, but I was so focused on making money. And my wife would suggest me so many times, she'd be like, hey, why don't you just trade small so you can focus on trading well? And I'd hear it, I'd be like, yeah, I could do that. But I never did it because there was still ego, right? There was still a reason why I was doing this. And it wasn't until I had to go back to work. And that part was like, I was like, wow, like, I've at least figured out what works for me. Because that year of breaking even, there was a lot of trades I did well on. And so I was able to see the commonality between all of those and figure out gap and craps it was for me. Meaning a stock that gaps up a lot, maybe 50% or more, and then I can ride it back down, shorting it, of course. But I didn't really discover that until I was forced to have to go back. I was like, what am I going to do if I go back to work? I got to do something that works. Like, I got to make money on the side. And then I went back to work and I said, you know what? I'm just going to work. I went back to that same company that hired me, the competitor. They hired me back again. And I even negotiated with them to let me work from home. And so it was a great career, great incomes, and be able to work from home. But it took up a lot of time because it was a full-time gig. And I had to manage people. I had to manage territories. It was busy. And so I couldn't really focus on trading because it was a really stressful environment. And that's when I was like, you know what? It's not about the money. Like, it started to hit me because I was making great money again. And I could work from home, making great money, and technically should be able to play some trades, but I was miserable because I couldn't focus on my trading. And then I was like, well, I at least know what I need to focus on, because I started trading only my setup right when I knew that I had to get that job again for the third time. I started only trading the gap and crap. And at that time, I started to find consistency. And then I was working for them for about 3 months and still being consistent. And I said, you know what? This is what I need to do. I need to only trade this setup. I need to only trade small, because I traded really small. Because I was like, you know what? When I focus on process, I can do this. I don't want to lose anymore. In fact, I didn't want to lose any more money. I was tired of losing. I wanted to just learn how to grow. And I finally said, you know what? I just want to become a good trader so I can do this for the rest of my life. And so I wanted to learn this skill and not learn it to make a ton of money anymore. I wanted to learn to become a great trader. And so when I left, I told myself, I said, before I leave, I'm going to find a job that I can work part-time, still from home, but not make as much because it doesn't take a lot of time and at least covers my bills. And I was able to save up. I had about 6 months of income at that time to live off of if I didn't have that part-time gig. Luckily, I was able to find a part-time job. I'm so thankful for that company to hire me and work from home. It was really easy for me and it didn't take up a lot of time. So I was able to trade and I was still consistent. And then from November 2019 and all of 2020, I had that whole year of consistency. And I looked at that and I was like, wow, this is interesting. And it's a lot of reasons that helped me do that. It's because I wasn't no longer focused on money. I downsized dramatically. I slowly increased the size. Once I started to see consistency, I started to increase the size. But as I increased it, I started to also realize that there's other challenges along the way, like learning how to be comfortable with bigger size. But during that whole year, I looked back and I was like, I only traded this setup. There was times where I only placed like 7 trades in the entire month because there just wasn't there. And I was like, if I'm going to be able to continue to do this, I want to learn how to trade more setups. And so near the last quarter, maybe a little bit before the last quarter of 2020, I started to experiment. Started to try new setups. Because I've been trading now at this time for about three and a half years, I think, 4. And so I was able to see so much market time that I started to recognize things that happened over and over again. But I never took advantage of it. And so I wanted to. And in fact, I started to. The thing that I did wrong, though, is I started taking advantage of it with the same size of the setup that I did well on. So that really wrecked my confidence, and I learned a lot from that. I made videos about that and how it's important to trade and use setup very small, not the same as your confidence setup. But I want you guys to know, and gals, everyone, that this journey has been very hard. And I think it was in November is when I started this show, Be the Trader. And I started to share my experience of how I was starting to see consistency. Like at the beginning of the show, I started to see my consistency. I started to share the challenges because I would have months where it was just small, and I had months where I'd lose a little bit, or weeks where I'd lose a lot, or weeks where I win a lot. And then I started to realize that what really helped me is not looking at profits, blocking all of these people who only flex, and focusing on process and execution. And it's a challenge I deal with all the time, even now. In fact, as I'm sizing up currently, every time I size up, I deal with that challenge because it's a new size, it's a new risk, it's a new dollar amount, and so forth. So I still hide my P&L today. I still try to only focus on process and preach that because I want you guys to know that it is very difficult to trade because it is very unique to the trader. Everyone has their unique challenges. And through this time, I'm just so thankful to God that I've been able to find what works for me. learn how to be consistent. And now I'm continually to work on growing that. And because I had side income coming in, that really helped me. It really did, to get away from the stress of having to make money. And luckily, as things have it, Be the Trader became I wouldn't say popular. I'd say it's starting to grow. And YouTube started to become an income source. Then I had sponsors, and then you have my small company that helps other creations, and so forth. And now my trading, my swing trading, everything started to grow. And I'm so thankful because, without God, I wouldn't be able to do all of this, any of this. And I pray so much. That has really helped me a lot. Like, prayer has helped me a ton through this journey, and meditation. So I hope if you're going to go through this journey, just know maybe it won't take you long. Maybe you'll knock it out in 6 months, maybe 3, maybe 3 years, maybe 10. I know traders who took them about 10 years to find consistency, and now you never know. You'd be like, oh my God, this guy's a rock star. This girl's a rock star. They are a rock star. It's something that's important that you need to know. It doesn't matter how long it takes you. Just focus on the process. It's a skill that once you get it, you can learn how to grow it, and you can really grow and forget about how long it took you to get there. Just focus on you, and do me a solid. If you like this type of content, please hit that like button, because it really helps me with the YouTube algorithm, helps us grow the show, because we want to do more content, and we want to continue to produce content to help change the trading community for the better. So everyone, have a great day, and God bless.